Our very first limited anomaly agent, Jane, is back and she is stronger than ever. Not only did she get new sets to play with, but also access to new weapon options, new game modes and most importantly new team options. And hence, in this updated guide on Jane, let's talk about her kit and how she plays, her best weapons, disk drives and disk drive sets, her combos, her main and substats, her teams and Mindscapes, and lastly, let's also talk about her pros and cons. Welcome! I'm Ravenous, and this is your complete, updated, in-depth guide to Jane Doe. Jane is a physical, on-field anomaly DPS who specializes in frequent dodges and high damage assaults by causing them to crit. Jane has her own unique resource called Passion Stream, and whenever she inflicts damage, she either gains or loses passion. Whether you are accumulating or losing passion depends on whether or not you are in her passion state. Outside of the passion state, that is indicated by the blue bar right here, she will accumulate passion when dealing damage or triggering a perfect dodge or defensive assist. And when she reaches 100 passion, she enters the passion state. During the state, the passion bar turns red and inflicting damage will then consume passion instead. While in the passion state, her anomaly build-up is increased and she also gains flat combat attack based on her anomaly proficiency. Each point of AP exceeding 120 will grant her 2 attack up to a maximum of 600, which means she caps out at 420 AP in total. This will be relevant for her build later on. Furthermore, whenever she enters the passion state, she also gains access to a one-time use of Salcho Jump, which frankly is much less of a jump and more like Regardless, Jane can hold a maximum of 1 Salcho Jump, and repeatedly re-entering the passion state will override any Salcho Jumps you currently hold. Salcho Jump is also different from her other damaging abilities, as it will not actually consume passion during her state, but instead generate passion. This also applies to her perfect dodges, which will generate passion as well during the state. Holding her basic will then have her spin for a few seconds, but also move at a much slower speed, which means that enemies can actually just, walk away from you, and especially for the more mobile type of bosses, looking at you Pompeii, that can become somewhat annoying. However, we will talk about Salcho a bit more later on. Let's talk about her dash attacks and dodge counter, because she has in fact 2 of them each, 1 dash attack and dodge counter outside of the passion state, and again a different version during the passion state. While both of them have a very fancy wording where it will behave differently depending on whether or not you are casting the dodge counter after 1 or 2 consecutive dodges, it essentially does not matter much since the anomaly build-up on both is the same, and that is honestly what we mainly care about. She features also a 6-part basic attack string, her special and EX special do as they are supposed to do, and so do her quick assists, defensive assists and assist follow-ups. So instead let's focus on her chain and ultimate, because both of them will have Jane directly enter the passion state at half value. This also means they both will give access to another Salcho Jump. This will become important later on as well during the combo section. Let's finish up her kit with her core passive. Hitting an enemy will inflict Nod, and Nod enemies have an extended duration on flinch, as well as causing assaults on these enemies being able to critically strike. The crit damage for assault is fixed at 50%, and the crit rate again depends on her anomaly proficiency, which means she will reach 100% crit rate at 375 AP. Since her passion state wants her optimally at 420 AP, this should usually not be an issue, but it is the first of her 2 breakpoints you want to hit. As both her crit stats here are fixed values or scale of her AP, building crit values is of no use, and hence I would not recommend doing so. And with that, let's quickly summarize her game plan, because reading and explaining a kit is great, but understanding it is better. We accumulate passion by dealing damage and dodging. We do so mainly using her basics and dodge counters. When we are in the passion state, we consume her passion using basics, dodge counters and her EX special. Optimally, we want to preserve one EX special for the stun window, but we can use it outside if we would overcap on energy. We maintain her passion state by fully channeling her Salcho jump whenever we are at half passion or below, as well as triggering perfect dodges. Since she gains more damage and anomaly build up during her passion state, maintaining her passion state is the highest priority. During the stun window, we can utilize her chain attacks and ultimate to gain Salcho jump refreshes. As for her skill priority, since her damage is anomaly based and anomaly infliction does not scale with skill level, we want to focus first and foremost on her core, then her chain, into special, basics and dodge, and lastly her assist. Time for her combos. Outside of her passion state, her quick assist and dodge counter can be followed up with her basic 3. However, during the passion state, her quick assist and dodge counter can instead both be followed up with her basic 5, and her dash attack can be directly followed up with her basic 4. Unfortunately, her EX special does not connect into any meaningful basic strings, so to maintain optimal anomaly uptime, we want to input a dash attack right after her EX special, which leaves us with a possible combo of EX special into dash attack into basic 4, 5 and 6. Now, for the next combos, we want to differentiate between a disorder Jane and a hypercarry Jane, as well as whether or not she has her signature weapon, as it can change her stun rotations just slightly. Let's start with hypercarry Jane, and for her, a double chain combo is basically mandatory, and optimally you would want to enter the stun window with an already about halfway built anomaly bar. We start with Jane's chain attack into Salcho jump, which we channel until we proc assault. If Jane's chain has already procced assault, we instead immediately let go and switch to another character while Jane performs her finisher. Now we re-trigger the chain and yet again use Jane's chain followed by an EX special into another Salcho jump into her ultimate. If you are using her signature, you want to add in a dash attack to maintain her stacks. When exactly the best time for that actually is, varies honestly. But as a rule of thumb, if your first chain attack procs the assault, you can do the dash attack immediately. If it does not, you can add in the dash attack after the EX special. The best thing here is to look at your weapon uptime and use it before it runs out, as you need the anomaly build up to proc assault with your ultimate. For Disorder Jane, the goal is to proc as many burns from Bernice or as many corruptions from Vivian as possible. That also means there is no direct best and slot combo I can just give to you. Instead, whether or not you are playing Bernice or Vivian, the crucial part here is to enter the stun window with an already active burn or corruption and try to proc at least 2 burn or corruption disorders with Jane. This essentially means we open the chain with Jane's chain attack into a Salcho jump to proc a disorder. Then we switch to either Bernice or Vivian to refill the fire or ether anomaly and proc the second disorder yet again with Jane. Again, if you are using the signature weapon, make sure to use a dash attack in between to maintain her vengeance stacks. A special thanks and shout out to Flo from Discord for helping with the combo section. And with that, let's talk about her weapons. But before that, let's talk about today's sponsor, myself. As you might or might not know yet, we have developed a website for Zenless Zone Zero called Internet Network. We provide leaderboards, a collection of video guides, but most importantly, you can search your UID, get an assessment of your disk drives, and we will also show you how you can improve your character for your specific teams based on your current build. A link is in the description and the pinned comment, go check it out if you want to. That said, now let's talk about Jane's weapons. With the release of version 1.7, Time Weaver has been fixed, and that unfortunately impacts Jane's weapon choices by quite a bit. While it has been even better than her signature before, well, depending on how well built your Bernice has been at least, it is now of much worse, even if it is still at least her second best option. Weeping Gemini is a great free-to-play choice, with Electro Lip Gloss being another option. Fusion Compiler cheats about the same, but maintaining the stacks is a bit annoying to say the least. However, enough animation cancels for her special exist for this to be manageable if that is your best option. I would not recommend Rainforest Gourmet over any other option. Jane's best on slot set is still a 4-piece Fanged Metal. While a 4-piece Freedom Blues or Phaethon's Melody are possible, they do not hold up to the same strength as a 4-piece Fanged. Well, with a small caveat. A 4-piece Phaethon's Melody can actually come closer to the performance of a 4-piece Fanged Metal, however that is only if you cannot hit the 420 AP breakpoint without. TLDR here being, the less AP you have, the better a 4-piece Phaethon's just becomes. For the 2-piece options, either a 2-piece Freedom Blues, Chaos Jazz, Astral Voice, Hormone Punk, Puffer or also Phaethon's Melody work well, and while I would much recommend Phaethon's Melody over any other choice, if you cannot hit the 420 AP breakpoint, a 2-piece Freedom Blues or Chaos Jazz are also good choices. This is even more true for Disorder teams, especially when played with Time Weaver. For her main stats, a standard layout for Anomaly Proficiency in slot 4, Physical Damage in slot 5 and Anomaly Mastery in slot 6 is the best choice, but if you happen to have insane substats on another option, it might still win out. As for her substat priority, focus first and foremost on Anomaly Proficiency until you hit 420 AP, then attack percent and lastly flat attack and flat pen. Having more than 420 AP is not a bad thing, but any Anomaly Proficiency after that breakpoint is just simply worth less than it has been before. Before we get to her teams, let's just quickly cover her Mindscapes. Jane's M1 is not only a great quality of life in terms of maintaining her passion state, but also a good increase in damage. The same can be said about her Mindscape 2, which is a pretty big boost in damage as well, and due to the additional 15% defense ignore, it pairs also really well with Nicole. Her M3 and her M5 exist, and her Mindscape 4 increases all anomaly damage by 18% for the entire team. And specifically in Disorder teams, this can be better than what is shown here. Generally, it is a fine Mindscape with potential upwards. Her Mindscape 6 unfortunately is just not really good. Lastly, Jane has gotten access to quite a few new teams, so let's cover them. Generally speaking, Jane performs much better in Disorder teams rather than in her Hypercarry team with Seth and a support of your choice. However, her Disorder teams are also more premium than the Hypercarry team, so that is something to keep in mind as well. Jane pairs extremely well with both Bernice and Vivian and is very flexible in the choice of supports. While I would generally recommend Astra or Nicole over Lucy and Caesar, that is mainly due to Caesar only buffing Jane and not Vivian or Bernice because, well, they are off-field, and Nicole and Astra are both simply stronger than Lucy is. However, Lucy is also much easier to play compared to Nicole. If you decide to play with Caesar or Lucy, I would recommend a 4-piece Freedom Blues on them as it can help out massively with Jane's or Bernice's anomaly build-up. If you decide to do so, building AP and attack percent on them is crucial to not diminish assault damage too much, or, well, in the case of Lucy, burn damage. This also applies to Pulchra as well. This is even more so important for Caesar, and if you do not use Time Weaver or her signature on Jane, as the missing anomaly build-up can be actually quite noticeable and mess with your stun rotations. A small note to Disorder comp specifically, the game does have an internal cooldown of 3 seconds during which anomalies cannot be procced after proccing a Disorder or anomaly. Ultimates, however, circumvent this ICD. This is probably an entire video in its own, so I will leave it at that, I just wanted to mention it. And at last, let's talk about her pros and cons. Jane is still a very good choice and she has gotten better over the recent months with more access to various supports. However, the missing physical weakness, especially in Deadly Assault so far, is hurting her overall performance quite a bit, and hence basing a lot of her damage on Bernice's or Vivian's anomalies makes actually quite the difference. While her weapon choices are good, she really favors Time Weaver or her signature for the necessary anomaly build-up needed. However, disregarding any damage, she is very fun to play and, well, jiggle physics. Her Mindscapes are fine, but nothing too crazy either. And with that, we are at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, leave a like and subscribe for more Zenless Zone Zero content, and see you in the next one. Peace.
在不会